Sitting here with Jerry Duff for the AgriThority AgrInsights podcast. Jerry, great to have you on. We're excited to be able to chat a little bit about your background, AgriThority. Tell us a little bit about what brought you into agriculture.
Well, thanks. It's great to be here. I'm a Missouri farm boy, Mid-South agriculture and Midwest agriculture exposed in the way I was brought up. We also farm in the lower valley of Texas, my family, and I was exposed my entire life to subtropical agriculture of the valley. I'm a University of Missouri graduate, ag journalism, ag economics. Mm-hmm. I was a lab tech to help earn my way through school in an entomology lab. And that entomology lab has served me well over my career as well, that experience. But yes, it's good to be here.
Well, thank you. And agriculture's in your blood. Tell me a little bit how that background kind of spawned into AgriThority, and just give us an understanding of what AgriThority is and what AgriThority does.
So, it might be best to step back just a little bit more. And, so I've been in international agriculture since 1981. And I've been in the consulting side of the business, the service side of the business, almost my entire career, with the exception of 2 years. With the marketing consulting company, I started in 1985 and later expanded to marketing communications with my wife, Mary Jane, as a business partner with that. I opened a second office in London, England in 1990, which we operated that office. It was focused more on product development with the partner I had in London at the time. We did quite a lot of work in Saudi Arabia, Russia, which was just coming out of the Soviet Union, and some Eastern Bloc countries as well. I got bored from a marketing consulting standpoint and was able to take information I had gathered over the years, over my career, and identify and crystallize the concept for AgriThority, which is to work in innovation and help bring some performance criteria to product development and market development.
Very good. What is AgriThority's mission?
We're focused on moving innovation to market in the most efficient and expedient way that we can, and that's to bring commercially viable products. And one of the things that we've noticed over the years is that particularly in the biological community, there's too many products that are brought forth that are not commercially viable. So we've got a tremendous track record on identifying the commercial viability, developing those products for that, and then accessing the market for our clients.
Got it. And as everybody knows, agriculture continues to evolve. So we see a lot of new products. We see a lot of old products still on farm. What is AgriThority typically? Who are the folks that AgriThority typically works with?
So there's three types of clients that we've been working with since I spun up the AgriThority side of the business in 2008. We work with the startup community, and those are funded by venture capital and other funding groups. We work with the commercial agriculture, and a heavy part of that has been with multinationals. Both from the basics all the way through multinational distribution and the smaller biological companies.
Got it. What are most of these companies missing? So everybody has challenges getting products to the market, whether it's a crowded market space or whether it's differentiated value proposition. What are some of the big challenges for companies as they develop new technology and get it into the marketplace?
Probably the biggest challenge and the biggest hindrance in front of many companies, many of the startup companies, I'll talk about startups here, is that they build too much overhead too early. And when you build that too much overhead, then you're taking away from a budget allocation you can make to actually advancing the development of the product and to move that product through the stage gate process, which is what we utilize at AgriThority. That's probably the biggest hindrance in the innovation community, and quite honestly, it's fostered by a venture capital community that packs the boards of directors with financial people that don't understand what it takes to move a product through the development cycle, and don't understand agriculture in general. So what happens is, they judge the effectiveness of their money they're investing by head count. You pull that head count up, you reduce the amount of work that you can do to actually advance the product.
So when you think about AgriThority, how do we, and I've obviously know AgriThority well, with your background and with your experience, Jerry, what are some of the ways that you've seen AgriThority help support, I would say, both big companies and some of the middle-sized companies, and even the startups you referenced a minute ago?
So we've had a number of situations where we've actually fixed products for companies, products that were not performing in the marketplace, and that generally gets back to, and it's the same thing when you're developing a new product, and particularly biologicals. But the psychology part of the marketplace is extremely important, and so it's all about paradigms that farmers have, the marketplace has, the dealers have. But think of this: your brain is like a computer, and you've got an operating system. My operating system has some years on it, but I've got a large hard drive. But so what these companies must do is to understand the paradigms of the marketplace, the collective paradigms. They've got to understand the crop production systems, which are generally the same. They vary by region and by environment, but understand how those paradigms are working, and then they've got to fit that product within that paradigm. If they don't do that, then they've got to facilitate a paradigm shift. That's very expensive, takes time, and the innovation community doesn't have that kind of an appetite. So you've got to understand the best management practice, how that product then will fit in that BMP within a crop production system, and then where everything's got to go. And this is a big gap again in what we're doing, is that we've got to understand when you've got a biological product and you fit it into this best management practice, regardless of the time of the season, that it's going to be regulating gene and gene expression. It's going to be regulating trait expression. Right. And so you need to understand, here are all those subsequent best management practices that you've always done. You've got to understand how you will fix that, how you will address those subsequent management practices to make it work.
So what's your best advice to companies as they think about new products? And it could be a biological, it could be outside the current paradigm as well, because I think that's a really interesting comment there. How does your experience help them bring that product into the marketplace?
Well, first of all, we understand the paradigms of the marketplace, and in the 41 years of the company, we understand how to work within that, how to manipulate. Maybe manipulate might be a strong word, but how we work within that to make things happen for our clients. So we're looking at ways to bring that together in such a way as we move through that stage gate process. We're trying to do it as efficiently as possible, but getting to that commercially viable product.
Right.
Fits within the current paradigm of the marketplace for whatever that use might be, and that it is within the cost parameters of what that market will accept, and in such a way that the channel can handle moving that product, staging it for a farmer, and then
Yeah.
ensuring its use.
One of the things that I believe is that strategy is often missing from companies as they look at bringing, so they're very technical or they're very focused on manufacturing. We spend a lot of time at AgriThority talking about strategy, right? And looking ahead of the curve, trying to get 2 to 3 to 5 years out and knowing where you want to go. Tell me a little bit about the importance of strategy from your perspective in bringing these products into the marketplace.
Well, strategy is paramount, and that's job one. And yes, we are a strategic company as a general rule, so it all starts with the strategy, the product and product development strategy. It's got to fit within we're looking 5, 6, 7 years out. So that product has to fall within a use pattern that we're going to see in agriculture when you get that far out. So, strategy is everything.
Where do you see where do you see the gaps in most of the companies that come and chat with AgriThority or become clients with AgriThority, partners with AgriThority? Just give me a sense of anything and everything, or what are typical of the challenges or gaps that we might see day in and day out with companies?
It's not understanding the strategy that's involved and how critical it is that they get this on the right track right up front. That's probably the point number one there, and then the discipline to follow through, and that's another major point, and that's once you have your strategy, then you work that, and then if something in that process, that stage gate process, you come across something that is different or causes you to pause, then you reassess where you're at and tighten that strategy up, and that's where the discipline comes in to follow through.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about development.
Yes.
Right? And I think of it as kind of three main maybe buckets. One would be product development, so understanding how that product is going to fit. To your point, is it going to work as expected? But there's also market development and business development. Tell me a little bit about how those are all intertwined. And I know from a development standpoint, we use that word a lot. But are there some key steps in that, or there's a major process? Give us a sense just from your experience on what the critical pieces are.
Right. So, from a business development standpoint, you've got to have, the vision for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And, that's setting that point out, out on the horizon. So, in a lot of ways, when you're dealing with biologicals, this is still a frontier. Yeah. I mean, it's no different than the mountain men going west or leading the wagon trains west, 200 years ago, 200 years ago. But, so business development's about the vision. It's about the business strategy. It's about understanding the funding, how you're going to fund this. In the stage gate process, you've got stages, and that's what's generally acceptable throughout the industry. That's the infrastructure of the industry, regardless of whether you're in the United States or you're in Ukraine or you're in Brazil or South Africa. That's where the infrastructure starts. And then the market development, you've got to understand where the gaps are in the marketplace, what the needs are of the marketplace. And then the product development is, it's fitting what marketing is telling you that the need in the marketplace might be. Yeah. So there again, it's getting back to strategy, okay? And then, so the product development and the product development strategy, it's understanding this is how this product's going to have to come together over the course of X number of years. And then, of course, the regulatory piece of that is a major consideration, and that's understanding the pathway, and that gets back to the strategy as well. You've got to have a strategy for that identifying that pathway and how you're going to maneuver through that on behalf of your client in such a way that you don't compromise yourself by a claim or something in one country that leaves you exposed in other countries. We had a client come to us with two bionematicides, 8 or 9 years ago, 8 years ago, and this client wanted to introduce the two nematicides in China, and so we ran our traps. We've got a good capability in China, and what we found out was that we couldn't take the short route on the registration because the claims that had already been established in the United States. And if those claims had been tweaked up front, it would have had no impact on how we would have done things in the U.S., but it had a huge impact on how we register the product overseas. So in that case, those two products have not and will not be registered in China because the cost was too steep.
So that comprehensive look and thinking about strategy is critical, because right now today you're focused on maybe just introduction or getting in footprint in the U.S., but obviously the longer view term that you have, maybe you want to go to South America, maybe you want to go to Europe. And that's, I think, one of the advantages we have at AgriThority is we have a great team, a global team, really to help you facilitate whatever it's product, market, or business development across the globe. Right.
So George Fountas, who's our director of regulatory globally, he's got major basic experience on an international scale. He's got multinational experience in the biological sector. He's got seed treatment experience internationally as well. So, he brings that discipline together very, very well, and we're able to execute that. So, and he understands the strategy part of it. So,
I'd like your thoughts on this, but I view, business, product, and market development as very much codependent, and you can't necessarily have one and be successful without the others. And so, from my perspective, my belief is that as you go down that path that we talked about, the stage and gate or the process here that we deploy here at AgriThority, one of the key things is making sure that you're ready with the product at the right time, that you're ready with the market development opportunities and the business development, right? And aligning all three can be kind of challenging. Is that something AgriThority does a lot of?
It's something that we do very well, and we've done for 41 years, from a marketing standpoint as well. Well before AgriThority, I was handling, particularly fixing products off the corner of my desk, and we'd go back and it's generally because those products were misunderstood by the companies marketing them, and they were introduced without consideration of the psychological side of the market and the paradigms.
So they were commercial products that just weren't performing, or weren't?
Commercial products not performing. We had one that was a insect growth regulator in the market 14 years, stagnant, and in sales. And I convinced the company to let us take a run at redeveloping and relaunching the product. And we were able to use the influencer community to literally bring that together. And by doing it that way, we were able to get that influencer community to embrace that product as a step in a structured control program for a specific pest. So, long story short, from a stagnant, flat to down sales over the previous 5, 6, 7 years, sales were increased 3x the first year.
Oh, wow.
They were increased another 3x above that the second year. So we're now at 95,000 gallons where we started at 9,300.
Wow. That's a great success story. I'm curious on the biologicals, because that's a little bit different animal than what we traditionally done in ag with a lot of the chemistries and just traditional crop inputs. Where do you see opportunities for the biologicals? Is it biofertilizers? Is it bionematicides? You mentioned that. Is it Give me a sense of kind of what you think is opportunity for the biological space.
From the biological standpoint, what I see is integrating biologicals into a system that I think is going to stay integrated with synthetic chemistry. We'll see a mix, so we're going to greatly reduce the load of synthetic chemistry on the environment. But you will see a much different approach to how the crop production system goes together and how those BMPs, those best management practices, are going to be developed. And when you've got a biostimulant at planting, and we first started documenting this 15, 16 years ago, 16, is that we could produce 35 to 40% more biomass. That's more root system.
Sure. Yeah.
More in the length of the root system and total mass of the root system. That's increasing the leaf area index 35, 40%. Not so. And this is getting back to the point I made earlier, that we've got to start looking at holistic crop production systems. What are we doing to exploit what we're achieving with a particular input? And that's to the point I made earlier, that we've got to step up and start addressing a holistic agronomic system, that in each of those subsequent best management practices need to be addressed in order to exploit what this has given us.
Right.
Or to build on what this has given us, and in such a way we also reduce the load of the synthetic chemistry on that acre or that hectare of ground as well.
Yeah, and at the core of it, farming is biology, right? And biology enables farming. We know that none of those nutrients are plant available. We need all of that whole system to work. I like what you just said about pulling in some of those new and technologies that can help support plant growth, root development, shoot development. I think even grain quality and overall kind of, as we as consumers think about what we eat and purchase off the shelf, tell me a little bit about what are some of those opportunities out there. And I think at this point it is some opportunities, but AgriThority has been very focused in on, plant growth and development, overall quality, and helping ensure that we have a safe, nutritious, and sustainable food supply as well.
So we know we can increase the quality of fruit. We can, with biologicals, not just biologicals. When I left the farm in clear back in 1981, started working with a product called ethyl. And what was being done by producers there in the production of grapes, raisins, the increase in bricks, the sugar, and overall quality of that grape, it was pretty amazing. And I've always tended to learn something with everyone I work with, and then I try to apply that at a later date. We have the capability right now with some of these, and we know which ones they are. Some of these biologicals that we can create, and we can build a system to produce a higher quality grain, for instance. I'm pretty confident in that we have the ability to bio-fortify or create a greater nutrient density in grain. I've watched how the Harvest Plus program worked in Africa, and it was a bold and grand idea that everyone was pushing forward. They didn't understand that they didn't understand the infrastructure of agriculture. They didn't understand how the things got done or how farmers work. Sure. It was all focused on doing something that would be good for the consumer.
Yeah.
But we have the capability now. We can produce that kind of thing. Now, there's an advocacy side to that.
Yeah.
So in order for us to switch and drive nutrient density and biofortification of grains, we have to have a collection system, if you will, and that's grain elevators, marketplace, et cetera, that can segregate those grains.
Makes sense.
And right now we've got standards, grades, and standards that were initially developed in 1917.
Wow.
For number 2 dent corn, for instance. So,
So room for improvement there.
The point I'm getting at is it might take us 15, 20 years, but with the right support, whether it's government and NGO support, and it's going to take that CPG support. We can deliver higher quality grain or oil seed. We can deliver a higher quality banana, berries, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But the market's got to be able to keep those segregated, and then it's got to recover the value of that. And so it's very complex issue.
I can imagine.